Hello, my friends. In this video, I wanted to quickly walk you through a quick capture system and why it is a fantastic system for neurodivergent brains, particularly ADHD brains. Someone in the community the other day shared something along the lines, I'm going to read it for a second. She said something like, I start something, I get sidetracked, I start 6 more things, I never finish anything properly, then overwhelm hits and I just want to cry. This is a very common experience for a lot of us. We have like 40 browser tabs open. We have emails marked on red that we're going to come back to. We have tasks that spawn more tasks, and we feel like nothing ever gets finished. And the core problem here is that our brain is generating like brilliant ideas, like legitimate things to do, but ultimately we don't have a system to capture those things. So they pile up. They pile up in our head. They pile up in terms of open tabs and unread emails until we get so overwhelmed by the sheer volume of things that are in front of our face that we can't function. And that is where the quick capture system comes in. It's basically a external brain, if you will. And I actually tend to refer to my Notion systems as my second brain. It's an external brain that holds everything. So you don't have to, your browser doesn't have to. It's a way of capturing things. So I want to break down like how this ties to kind of neuroscience and how our brains work before I actually show you what my system looks like for doing this. And as always, every time I share my systems, I always share the caveat, your system doesn't have to look exactly like mine. When I started my quick capture, I just started it to capture tasks and notes. It evolved over time to capture more things to the current version that I'm going to show you, but it started off just as a means to capture tasks and notes. But ultimately, I want to kind of break down why this isn't a character flaw. It's like neurobiology, essentially. When it comes to ADHD and similar sorts of learning differences, it basically, a lot of it boils down to executive function and working memory deficits. Your brain architecture, when you have ADHD, can't reliably hold information. And we often interpret that because we're kind of comparing ourselves to others as, oh, I'm lazy, oh, I'm disorganized. No, like that's not the case. Your working memory just has limits. And we have to find ways to work with our brain as opposed to against it, because your brain's not going to fundamentally change. So we have to change our strategies and our systems for dealing with that. Marking unread and keeping tabs open is a very common way people will deal with this. But as we just said a second ago, there's big reasons why that doesn't work. They become visual clutter, which adds a lot of cognitive load. They also, our brain is still trying to keep track of them in the background. Now, I do really like when I do need to keep tabs open. I love the tab grouping feature on Chrome. If you do not know what I'm talking about, drop a comment below. I will share a little bit more about what that is. But like that allows me to organize them in a way that is a little less visually cluttering, but like still your brain is trying to keep track of those things in the background. And what that leads to is a longer delay between I need to do this and capturing it properly. Like the more of a delay there is there, the more likely that thing is to disappear. Another thing is that cognitive offloading is very, very essential. Like external systems free up mental bandwidth. And this is important because it reduces this whole feeling of I can't remember what I was supposed to remember sort of spiral that we get trapped in. So when you use a quick capture system, you have fewer open mental loops, which means you have less overwhelm. You have lower anxiety about forgetting things. You actually finish things because you don't get lost in all the other stuff you're trying to keep track of. And it basically gives your brain permission to be creative instead of be a filing cabinet, which is how our brains, that's not how our brains are meant to work. Our brains are meant to innovate and create, not store information. They kind of suck at that, actually. So now what I want to go ahead and show you is I want to show you my walkthrough of my system and kind of how I use that to capture information. All right, so this is my quick capture page. As I've shown you before, this is one of the pinned pages along the top of my Notion system. I actually need to change this page to Thursday, but this is one of my pinned pages that I have here. You can see I have a lot of stuff on here. I have the bathroom code for the coffee shop I like to work at. I have a quote. I have some buttons. I have some just random ideas that I have captured that I wasn't sure where to put them. This is just kind of what that page is for, is it is a place to capture ideas. But what I want to highlight is this page actually started with just these 2 pieces on it. There's a lot more on it now, but when I first started using my Notion systems, this quick capture page was just the task inbox and the notes inbox. And what I actually want to show you in these is I want to show you how they're filtered. So this is meant to be an inbox. So the filters are actually super important, and really they are filtered only to show you the things that are created that day. So every single new day, this inbox resets itself. Now, those tasks always are going to be in my task inbox. If I haven't done anything with them, I'm a little scared to open this because I don't know how many tasks are in my task inbox. Yeah, so I have some things that are in here that need to be organized, and actually some of them that aren't even important anymore. But you can always set it up so that you can see the tasks, like you can capture the tasks and then you can go to the inbox later. Now, same thing with the notes inbox. This is also filtered to only show the things that were created today, but that's kind of how this is meant to be. Is it's a clean slate every day. And what this allows me to do, and the reason why I keep this pinned, is every single time I think of a new task, I add it. Every time I have a new note, I add it. But then, like I said, this has kind of evolved over time to include some other things as well. So I also have a place where I have my library. So this is linked to my knowledge hub. So I have if I can type, I have a knowledge hub inside of Notion, and this is like where I store like the books I've been reading, the courses I've been taking, the podcasts I've been listening to, so on and so forth. So it's all inside of my library here. And I'm not great at keeping this up to date, but like, for example, I've read this. It was okay. I think I finished it last week. So that's kind of what the library is for. And how I differentiate these two things is this is for like a fleeting thought or plan. And this is for something that I'm going to learn from. So like notes from courses or summits or whatever are things that I'm going to learn from. So I put them inside of the library. I also have other things that like Notion things I want to show for experts that I want to bring into burnout proof business, so on and so forth. I also have a place for my emails because I've been playing around with bringing actionable emails and tasks from emails into my Notion system. I'm still working on that, so I'll show that later if that's something you guys are interested in. I also have something called a tackle list. The whole thing with the tackle list, and actually, now that I think about it, this is something that should go in my tackle list, probably where I should have put it at the first place. But the thing here is this is an idea. These are all ideas, not necessarily like action items that I need to do like ASAP. So I try to differentiate the things that are just ideas versus the things that are actionable tasks that are going to have like a to-do, like a due date associated with them. That's kind of the difference between my tackle list and my task inbox right now, is I try to keep the ideas separate. I also have a place where I can put in just new connections that I've made over here. I actually hate how this is called. Direct outreach. So these are just new connections that I've made. So I have like a little contact database. It's kind of like my digital address book. And then I have people who are in my CRM over here. And then last but not least on this page, I have a place to capture content ideas. Now this is super, super useful when I'm like out on a walk or something and I think of a great idea for podcast or YouTube video. I will pop open my quick capture page and I add it to my content database. So I always am capturing new content ideas as well. So this is the whole premise of the quick capture page, and this is what it looks like. And again, I think the most important part of this page is just kind of how I use it. So really the core premise and foundations of it is it's used for immediate capture. So if I have a new idea while I'm working, if an interesting email comes in, if I have a browser tab that is just calling to me, I will copy the URL into a task, or I will copy it into a note or whatever it might be. But the idea is it's capture first, organize later, because what we want to do is we want to not break our focus. Okay. If we are, and that's really where the idea for the system came from, is if I'm working on something and something distracts me, I don't want that to pull me away from what I'm working on. I want to capture that thing somewhere so my brain feels like it's dealt with, and then I can go back to whatever I'm working on. So that's like the idea behind the system. And it's not perfect. Like it doesn't always pan out like that, but sometimes I'll get sidetracked by a YouTube video, realize, I really should get back to that project. And so I'm like, okay, copy the URL to the YouTube video, put it into my quick capture system, mark it with a day where I think I'm going to come back to it, and then I come back to it later. So stuff gets captured, it feels dealt with, and then I can stay focused on the thing that I want to stay focused on. Now, this next part you saw I'm not great with, but now that we've got like the tasks and the notes like captured, then we can go through and we can like micro sort and organize later. Like I need to make more of an effort to go through and sort my task inbox, I should probably add it to my weekly review, which, since we're talking about the quick capture right now, you guys aren't going to see this because I'm not sharing my screen, but I'm literally going into my task inbox right now. And I am going to say here, and I'm going to make it a quick task, add going through task inbox and notes inbox to your weekly review. It's going to be a quick task. I can do it tomorrow because I have a lot of time tomorrow. Done. So now I thought of that. I can come back to this video where I'm talking to you guys. So, having some sort of cadence that you go back through and you organize things and you figure out where they should get sorted to and when they should be scheduled, whatever. I do recommend either doing this like once a week or having like some sort of consistent cadence where you do this. Otherwise it ends up like my inbox does. I think it's been like a month and a half or 2 months since I've gone through that task inbox. So that is, I think, a really, really helpful aspect of going through this and when I go back through the things in the inbox, I'm doing things like for tasks, I'm assigning due dates or assigning them to projects. For content ideas, I'm either moving them to the calendar or I'm like tagging them accordingly with which category they fall into, what pillar they go with. If I have a piece of content already made for that, so like I'll go on Snap Insta and download the reel. If I already have the piece of content, I will save that. If it's a library item, I will file it in the library. I will say whether or not I've looked at it yet or not. And if it's a contact, I will go through and I will fill in the information about like, where did I meet them? Are they somebody who's a prospective client, or are they just a connection in my community? Are they somebody I might have on the podcast? So I'll like go through and I'll do all of those things. And what it does is it kind of closes the loop. So I'm able to archive the finished items and keep the things that I want to come back to kind of in the fold. And I think what it does is it prevents the I started 6 things and finished none kind of spiral that we can end up in. So I think real scenarios where this really helps is if you do have 40 browser tabs open, like capture them, batch capture. Spend 10 minutes copying the URLs into your notes inbox or into your library. And again, I differentiate notes versus library, as notes are like quick ideas or plans, and then libraries are things that I'm going to come back and learn from. So this is literally what this would look like. So I have a video. Brenda shared this in the Aligned AF community. If you're not in her community, check it out. It's awesome. Let me know and I can give you the link if you're not there. But like, she posted this and I really want to watch it. So I'm going to go over to my notes inbox. I'm going to go into my library because this is something I'm going to learn from. I'm going to embed the video. And this is her Stop Hustling for Leads school training. The content type is a video. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm going to leave it as unprocessed. And the tag here would be school and it already knows what I want. Lead generation. Beautiful. Okay. So that's saved. I can come back to that later. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that, and I can now close that tab. Now, she also shared some PR opportunities, and these are both PR opportunities that I want to apply to. So I'm going to right click on it, copy the link address, come over to here to the quick capture, and I'm going to say apply to these Haro inquiries. Let me pop that open. I'm going to do this tomorrow because I have a ton of time tomorrow, and this is a great thing to go on my Friday catch-up day. These are pretty low effort. Let's make them main priorities. I'm also going to make them less than 10-minute tasks, and then I'm going to drop both of those links down here. So we've got that PR opportunity, and we've got this PR opportunity. Cool. Now I can close that tab as well. So this is like exactly what this would look like in real time, and I could do it with stuff from school. And actually I should do it with stuff from school. I have 2 things in school. I have no idea what that is for. I have 2 things in school. I want to watch this and I want to watch this. So I'm going to mark these as unread. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this link, and I'm going to put this in here as well. School news drowning in value. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put this in here so that I can watch this. And again, it's a video. And actually what would be even better, instead of doing that, because I can watch it on YouTube, love grabbing the, stop playing. I love grabbing the YouTube URL because you can embed YouTube videos straight in here. So I don't need to go back to the school page to watch it. I can just watch it straight from inside of Notion. And then last thing here as well, there was something about this that I wanted to come back to, but now I can't remember what it was. I'm going to leave this as unread in here until I remember what it was. I do have it actually marked with the bell. So yeah. So that's kind of what this looks like in real time. You're struggling with this whole, I start one thing, I get sidetracked, and then I start 6 more. Like when a distraction hits, open the quick capture page, dump the idea into it, return to the original task. It keeps you focused while still capturing the thing that you feel like you need to capture. And then doing some sort of weekly review then ensures that those ideas get processed. I will admit this is something I've been sucking at, but it's because I think it got removed from my weekly review, and I'm gonna make sure I add it back in. So I think why this works so well for neurodivergent brains is, again, you're not fighting your brain's natural tendencies to have ideas. You're giving those ideas a home. It reduces decision fatigue, so you don't have to decide what to do with each input immediately. You're just making sure it gets captured somewhere, which I think is the most important part. I think it creates trust in your system, so your brain stops trying to remember everything. And this is not instantaneous. It is going to take a little bit for that trust to be built. And it prevents overwhelm by clearing mental clutter, okay? So I would recommend, like I kind of hinted at before, start with 1 inbox, max 2. I recommend tasks at least, because tasks could then turn into something that you save elsewhere later as a note or something in your library. So tasks is probably the place I would start. And then just practice capturing for a week before adding sorting or organizing to it, and try to make it easy for yourself to capture. Like I showed you, my quick capture is pinned to my Notion, and my Notions are always up. So it's literally like 2 clicks max, and it's added to my quick capture page. And just build trust in that system slowly. Okay. This is something that is going to take time. So if this is something that you want to build into your system, it's actually something that's already built into essentially all of my Notion templates, particularly my ultimate Notion template, which is getting a facelift and probably a rename. I'm probably going to start calling it my Solopreneur OS. So that is getting a facelift, and it's going to be on Black Friday sale. So if that's something you want, you just got to wait a couple more weeks. So with that, that's kind of all I want to say about the quick capture. Let me know if you got any questions or comments down below, but I do think this is one of my favorite system strategies for people who have do-it-all ADHD energy, because I think it helps so much, and it really is like the gold standard, in my opinion, of like working with your brain instead of against it. So let me know if you've got any questions below, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.